Hello everyone, welcome to this review session. Today we'll be reviewing games from the third round of the 19th season of the NAOL. As I said, we have 3 games to look at, so let's just jump right in. We have, in the first game, we have Tiernuki, 14k as black, versus Patrick 95350, also 14k as white. So let's jump in. And it's a pretty standard opening. And even black ignoring is also possible. You can play locally in the upper right, but black goes elsewhere, white kicks. And here, whenever you have 2 stones on the side that are potentially weak, you want to stick to a adage that there is in Go, or a proverb. If you have 1 stone on the side, like this, and let's say a similar position where you need to extend, you want to extend 2. So if you have 1 stone on the side, extend 2. And this is generally what's considered a safe base in order to keep your stones strong, keep your stones safe. Now your stones are not 100% alive, but you don't want to play anything too tight because then you're not going to be very efficient, but you don't want to play anything too far away because it can be split. So 2, when you have 1 stone, a 2-space extension is considered a safe extension. When you have 1 more stone, like we do in the game here, you want to extend 3. So if you have 1 stone, you want to extend 2. If you have 2 stones, you want to extend 3. So the normal Joseki move is either here or here. In the game, when black extends to R10, black has extended 4. And the reason why this is, like, black has to worry about this is it's a little bit too far for black to be able to handle an invasion. Even if you're even just 1 space closer and white tries the same kind of invasion, you're able to stay connected. But when you play here, it's just a lot harder to now keep connected when white can play moves such as Q7 in response. So yeah, just keep in mind the fact that if you have 2 stones, extend 3. So either here or here. White attaches here. This is okay, but generally speaking, this is, while it is the 3-3 and you might think, okay, 3-3 is like the spot you want to get, it actually makes white's shape potentially over-concentrated. So for example, if black Hane's here, notice this stone at R17 is in a lot of danger. So if white makes this kind of tiger's mouth shape, if black extends here, R18 becomes a very big spot to get. And all of a sudden, even though we were getting into the corner, it's actually not that big of a corner, especially when black can still play at S18. And so generally speaking, we don't want to play, in this case, the 3-3 spot. Instead, we want to look to play this leaning move, kind of forcing black to have to take 3rd line territory. And in the process, we're going to be able to get some sort of extension here. So, and now you might be asking, depending on your strength, well, didn't you just say if you have 1 stone on the side, you want to only extend 2? Why did we extend 3 here? In this case, our stones are not in any danger of being attacked, at least not immediately. Like if black comes in, we're not worried about this kind of invasion. But in the previous example, like here, if white were to come in, it's not like we can counterattack this L3 stone. We have to now connect and do something with these stones. And to be fair, even in some cases, it is okay to allow this invasion. It is sometimes okay to extend 3. But yeah, this is what you want to look for as white. Now black plays here, which again, logically makes sense. We're taking away white's vital point. But then we can see when white Hane's here, now we're a move behind. Yeah. And then black Hane's, that's good. And connect. It's a little slow, but it's okay. Extend there. Play here. Yeah, this is possible. It's probably a little bit better to try to connect up. Playing this kind of move is you're really trying to put pressure on this cut here, because you're trying to play really close up to these 2 white stones. But we can see this cut will really never amount to much because we'll always have enough liberties in the corner as white. We'll always have 3 liberties to 2 liberties. So it's better to prioritize just connecting our right side like this. and yeah, not have to worry about the right side, because that does come up in the game. White extends here. This is a very nice move, because while the cut doesn't work, that doesn't mean any sort of peeps don't work. So if white goes elsewhere, and black plays a move somewhere around k17, and let's say white goes somewhere else again. Again, the direct cut doesn't work, as we just showed, but this peep at n18 does work, and this move is very annoying for white, because it's threatening to make the cut work, but also it's very annoying to find a way to protect. Like if we just protect, then all of a sudden, like our entire group is weak. If we play either of the tiger's mouths to protect, black's going to get an extra forcing move to be able to take out our shape there. So yeah, it's whether black plays this one or directly just peeps and then descends, it's just very painful for white. It's very painful for white. So this is a very big move to get at L17. Black, and then black goes here. So again, interestingly enough, like I can see black knows their shape points, right? They take away this shape and then they know, okay, tiger's mouth, right? That's the shape point. But just in this case, in some scenarios, R2 is a brilliant move. But when white can just descend, you can see there's just not much black can do with this stone. Black gets this move, which does use it. White has to connect and then gets to descend. Now here, yeah, white does not need an answer here. There's nothing, if you go elsewhere as white, there's nothing black can do. Playing at S2, if we just block, there's not enough space there to live. And here's the crazy thing as well, because I know we're talking about 14 Qs here, so maybe they don't have as much experience, but even if black could live in this corner, if it takes a lot of moves to live in this corner, the corner starts to get smaller and smaller. So even if black could live here, it's not insanely big, because this groups that have no effect on the rest of the board, even if they're making points, are not that valuable. So if black's corner here can live, which it can't, but if it could, it's not going to affect the rest of the board, which means it's just a solitary group just making a couple points. So yeah, playing a move like C6 affects the rest of the board. It means black can't build the left side. It means we can build the left side. It secures the bottom side for white. So yeah, it's a much more active move. Whereas when you play here, if black's able to approach from here, and then let's say we answer, like black can build the entire left side. So yeah. But black goes here. White backs off, black slides, plays here. And there is something to be said about playing from the side we can build. Not saying F3 is necessarily bad, but because we have stones at C15, I'd rather play from those stones as opposed to playing where realistically I don't really have any stones on the bottom side. White plays the knight's move, and then splits. This is reasonable. We play here. This is all Joseki here, though. Joseki move is to play at G3, and this would actually be good for black because white cannot ladder this stone. This would hit this stone here. This stone here is a ladder breaker. So yeah, white would not be able to Atari this stone. Now, you could say, okay, well, a move here is probably a ladder breaker, which it probably is, right? Black could ignore, but like this would be way too painful for black. And so if black has to answer, then technically like white does have a ladder breaker. But the fact is that black initially is okay and is able to hane here, double hane here. When you play this one, yeah, white blocks. Yeah, the aji is still there, but the aji is a lot worse. Yeah, it's just a lot worse. You play there. This is all good and then cut. So everything black did here is pretty good. Extend up, extend here. So this is the first real fight of the game because we have a cross cut. And so this is kind of the big highlight of the game is how to deal with this cross cut. Black's move here, while it might be a little strange, not the worst move because it's setting up while it's super slow right now, it is setting up a faster move later. It means whether white plays from this direction, now we can jump here. And if white plays from this direction, we can jump here. So yeah, by itself, I actually don't mind it. There's better moves, but it's not a horrible move. But the key here is white goes elsewhere. And this is why fighting is so vital, because this is a chance for, even though black got a worse result in the upper right, worse result in the lower right, and white definitely has a lead until this move, now is black's chance to take control of the game. So how can black do that? So black, or technically for both sides, we have a crosscut here. So that means both sides of the crosscut need to live. So the c5 black stone is alive because the lower left is alive. Okay. And the other black group is still weak, but it's out in the center. Look at the two white groups though. This group, again, has a base, but it's not alive. And similarly to the same is true for the bottom side white group. So how can black capitalize? There's a couple ways. And this is where fighting, it can get complicated. There's a lot of ways that you can handle this. And it's not always obvious which is which, but let me show you just a few ways. So black wants to think about profit, and they say attack for profit. So for example, if you extend here, notice extending here is putting pressure on this white group, but also it is creating some points in this area here. So black is attacking while making some cash here. If white does nothing, then black can really put pressure on this white group. And again, by pressure, I don't mean we're trying to kill this group, but if white has to spend moves to eventually end up like playing here, right? Notice white has to play on the inside of their own territory. That is a gain for black. So yeah, if white has to exchange this though, and let's say black jumps out, and then let's say white jumps out, black exchanged C11 for E9. So which is more valuable? The C11 stone or for black, or the E9 stone for white? Definitely the black stone is more valuable because it's not obvious how this is making points for white. And white's still not alive even. So that's one way black could play. Another way black could play is, because white has two weak groups, black can play towards the bottom somehow. And it means if white comes out in this direction, now when black jumps here, now this puts pressure on the left side group. So you can see how whichever way white pushes, it's going to hurt the other side, right? This stone at h6 is hurting the bottom side. And if, similarly, if white goes this way, this stone at f8 is hurting the left side. And so if white has to help the left side, then all of a sudden you can see this bottom side group is very weak. But if white has to play on the bottom, then again, we can attack the left side. So there's a lot of ways you can handle this, but the key is doing something to attack one side. You lean on one side to attack the other side. Now black does something more direct, but this is okay too. And white's saying, okay, because I don't have the ladder, I'm willing to give these three up. Black turns. And this is where black kind of falls into, or kind of gets, I don't know if greedy is the right word, but just kind of tries to save everything. Black could say, okay, you can have those three stones, and I'm going to take the stones on the bottom here. But black instead tries to save everything. And this really complicates the game, because now when white cuts here, these stones only have 2 liberties, and it's just very dangerous for black. So yeah, it's very dangerous for black. So this is where counting liberties, while it seems like such a basic thing that we learn when we're 20Q, is it's so valuable in local fights like this. Local fights meaning we're not talking about life and death. We're not talking about 2 eyes. We're talking strictly about capturing stones, and whoever has more liberties has an advantage. So yeah, you can see here when white cuts, black has 2 liberties on these stones. This is the problem with the empty triangle, is it's low on liberties. Yeah, and so black actually can't save these stones anymore. Black hanes here, white jumps, black tries to wedge here. It gets a squeeze, but it's not that important. Stands up, tries to Atari. And so you can see black is, because white simply has more liberties, this is a lot harder for black. So yeah, black hanes, but white can even Atari here because black can't cut. So yeah, black tries here. Playing a move like a5. Now I know black's trying to make something work here, but the problem is once you play a5, this cut here works. Whereas if you never play a5 at all, this cut now does not work for black. So black basically took away one of their own liberties. But then even after all of this, you know, at least black gets sente, if that's at least something to write home about. Black goes here, which this is pretty much a nothing move. Sure, it Atari's just 1 stone, but this 1 stone does not have any value. And again, it's not like if white goes there, I'm going to be upset. In fact, I'd be happy white let me fix my 3 stones there. So yeah, if anything, black could just go elsewhere completely. White, now that white has thickness, white plays on the right side. And yeah, black feels the need to really try to defend this upper right group. But again, we can just see that when white's able to split here, and even black lets white capture, yeah, there's a lot of problems. So again, here, just need to Atari first. Normally they say don't Atari stones you can't capture, but in this case we're actually doing it to reduce white's liberties. Whereas when we just extend here, white can cut here, and yeah, technically, this actually came up last week, I'm pretty sure, in a very similar position where if black takes, white's able to connect or threaten a ko while connecting, like this. Technically, black can actually go down, but it really makes black's shape really bad if this kind of scenario happens. So yeah, maybe it's still okay though. But yeah, that's where just Ataring first. Now that kind of squeeze does not happen. But yeah, again, similarly to notice how white was able to capture the important cutting stones, right, at D6 and also G4. Black let the important stones at R9 get captured. So black needed, if anything, black just needed to do this to try to keep white separated. But once white was able to connect, this was not as good. So Atari, now white's taking out the base here. Black Atari's here. Again, it's okay. Stand up. This is probably one of white's few mistakes here. No need to peep where you can cut. There's no reason not to if you want to do something to cut here. And if black saves, you can then extend. And now you're just separated. Again, I guess black could give that stone up, but black is very weak themselves. So yeah, so peep here, kind of a minus move. And then cut. But then here, so if you take a look at the right side of the board, black is not alive in the upper right, not alive on the right side. So what does black decide to do? Make another weak group. And again, maybe black needs to make something happen in this game. So in that case, maybe it's okay to do this. But yeah, definitely needed to help one of the groups. I would definitely play some move like this or like this. But black splits, white attaches, that's okay. But yeah, black could have started to connect, whereas if you stand up, because I have so much thickness around the entire board as white, I can just kind of attack black on a large scale. I don't need to... This is if you need to connect immediately as white, but since you're strong here, you can actually fight. Black cuts. Atari, it's kind of strange, but yeah, white descends, fix, and yeah, black saves. White stands up here. It's a little small, but it's okay. And kind of the one final really key point here is, again, evaluating how important cutting stones are. So again, earlier I was saying how D6 and G4 are important cutting stones and R9 because it kept white separated. But if we think these 4 stones are dead, that means while they're on the board, realistically, white is connected, right? We can view these 4 stones off the board. But black saves this cutting stone. And by saving this cutting stone, black's saying, oh, I can get value out of attacking these 2 white stones. But in this case, you cannot as black. So yeah, white captures there. That's big. Black extends. Turn. Yeah, this was also a big spot for black to get, but not necessarily Sente. While it is forcing, if it's not the biggest thing on the board, like white can go elsewhere, but it's still probably big enough to play. White plays nice Tesuji here. And pokes here. This is the right idea for white. If black had extended here, there would actually not be as good of Aji there. So it's actually better for white to simply just play here. Although, again, I don't think this is necessarily bad. So actually, I think white is, based on this game, white is actually quite strong. Yeah, white is doing very well in this game. Obviously, still things to work on. But yeah, for black, yeah, black definitely... Keep track of your stones a little bit better. Stones being how strong they are, but that means base, like if they have a base or not, and their liberties. And also try not to lose your cutting stones. Again, black lost the stones here, here, and here. And by losing the stones here, this is how important they were. White was 100% alive, and black's two sides were both weak. Whereas if they were just kept alive, they'd be doing a lot. Black's groups would not be doing as badly. Yeah, white plays here. Goblin's Nose does work, so white fixed it. Yeah, here, white can actually play here. Because, again, you have so much stones nearby, and black actually can't separate you. But white goes here, so allows black to connect. Yes. Black gives up those stones, which actually is not a horrible idea. And, yeah, just kind of finish up here. White goes here. Probably just thinking black would connect, but black let the cut happen, and then black lost the center stone. So, yeah. Black resigned here. So again, black just try to take care of your groups a little bit better, counting liberties, making sure they have a base, making sure they're staying connected. And for white, honestly, white, you did very well. It's hard to nitpick anything that you could have done better. Yeah, I expect white to climb the ranks, not be 14Q after this game. So yeah, that's it for game 1 though. So let's jump over to game 2. Oh, Patrick, nice game by the way, very nice game. Here we are with game number 2. We have pockygo, 8K is black, versus tallpauleg, 7K is white. Double, or both sides do double 4/4s, approach. Then we get the pincer here, and then back off. Not that it's the worst thing ever. And again, I don't want to nitpick something this minute, but there is something to be said about if you are going to pincer, putting more pressure on the stone because we're trying to attack. So yeah, just this stone is putting more pressure on these white stones here. As opposed to backing off here, you're playing away from the stones you're trying to attack here. So that's a minor thing, but like if you're trying to attack, you want to put as much pressure as possible. And then white here, white actually pincers, which this Joseki, or this is not the Joseki move because now you are heavy, you have to save the stone. Whereas in a lot of scenarios, you can simply just connect under. The reason why you can't do it now is because there's this peep here. And if you have to connect, now you can't play the usual Atari at M4. It is impossible to play at M4 now. Whereas without that exchange, right, if let's say we just do it here, now a move around N4 is not Sente, we would just be able to connect. Or start to connect like this. So if you want to play K3, you need to play it here. You can't play it now because basically you get heavy. You now need to save this O5 zone, especially when you jump out. So yeah, black goes there. Atari, and then white connects. So again, similarly, black can play this kind of peeping move, and if white has to connect, again, white's unable to play what they did in the game. But if white saves somehow, maybe by going here, now when we separate, yeah, white is definitely weaker than black because black's, again, kind of like what I was saying in the first game. You have to evaluate, whenever you have a crosscut, you have to evaluate the strength of both sides. And so black's corner is 100% alive, whereas and has a weak group in the center. And not even a weak group, but just a hanging group in the center. Whereas white has 2 potential weak groups. White's group on the right side is not alive, but also the group on the bottom side is not 100% alive either. So white's definitely weaker here. So yeah, look for this. It's a awkward looking move, and you only want to play it if your opponent ever attaches here. Otherwise, this peep by itself, like you wouldn't want to do it here. Because white just connecting, your shape just becomes so much worse. So, yeah. When black captures the stone, the white kind of gets what white wants, but at the same time also maybe doesn't because black gets a lot of points here. So, yeah. It's hard to say which is better for, probably slightly better for black, especially since this cut here works. And again, evaluating the strength of stones, of cutting stones, I mean. White is super weak in the center here, and these 3 stones are weak too. So black should definitely cut here. Black goes here though, attach. Usually you want to answer ones, even if you do plan on taking the 3/3 next. It's generally a good exchange. Notice if white blocks the same way, even if you play the same exact move you do in the game, you got white to exchange F15 for G16. Whereas when you play here directly, you can see it's like white would never play at f15 now. So yeah. So play there. Connect. This was a big move to get. And then black splits. And this kind of falls into the problem that black has in this game, is black doesn't focus on themselves. I always say, if you want to be strong, you gotta practice self-love. And what I mean by that is black is so focused on what white is doing, black never gets the chance to do what they want to do. So again, in this case, instead of playing where all of white stones are and you have potential to be attacked, black should instead, what can black do instead? Black can build the top side. Black can build the top side. And so black can build points and try to make it so the onus is on white to have to build or have to invade their top side. But if you keep playing, if you just are constantly invading, one, you're not going to be making a lot of points. We'll see here, black makes maybe 6 points on the left side. And white's able to secure the corner in the process. White's able to get thickness in the center. And then black feels the need, okay, now I need to get rid of that influence. And then it's a constant downhill battle, or uphill battle, I mean, for black. And we'll see that. So white goes here. This is a strange position where I almost kind of agree with this, although you might think, okay, let's push white or push our opponents towards our thickness. Because of this move here at B14, it's hard to actually call this group thick, or this wall thick as white. Like if you try to separate directly, you can see like white's weaker. If you Hane here, if black connects, this would actually be not so bad, but black can extend here, or even extend to here. And basically now, white pushed black, or is allowing black to connect back to C8, which is pretty annoying for white. So I actually agree with this because there's bad Aji at B14, although generally speaking, you don't want to play from this direction. Black goes here, and then black jumps. So again, black's technically getting what black wanted, but is it really worth that much? The white turns, very thick move, but I really like this move. Turn, yes. And play there, yep. So now all of a sudden white is building the bottom side. Black attaches. Now, whatever happens, this is a position where even if we don't plan on continuing with this move immediately, just throwing in B7. This is where just taking your opponent's key shape just to make their lives hard is so valuable. You just want to be as annoying as possible. So this move would be so annoying for black. Even if we just play like ignore it at this point, we just go elsewhere. Like white ends up playing here, which again, very nice move, but yeah, even if we just go elsewhere, we have destroyed black's shape. And therefore we have succeeded. Yeah, just throwing a stone in there just to see how black answers. Even in this case, we could then play a move like A4, which threatens to connect on the first line. So yeah, just to see how black plays. Because while white's move is very nice, yeah, black does get the key spot there. So now black is 100% alive, whereas even this move, black might be 99% alive, but at least black is not 100% alive. So play there. White turns here. This move is okay. This move is okay. It's probably a little bit better to play from this direction because this move is more active. It has to do with or it helps the center more as opposed to this one. Also, this move, by playing here, you are now not allowing one of the greatest named shapes in the game, which roughly translates to, I think, the golden chicken on one leg or something. Someone can correct me, but it's called something like that. Yeah, and if you've never heard that before, you might be thinking I'm crazy. But the shape is, if this kind of cut works, it would be kind of dangerous for white. Because there'd be danger in, oh, now we have to make sure these stones live. But this is a very, very common shape. It's somewhat common, maybe 1 in every 10 games, but you can descend at M1. And this is the golden chicken, where it basically just means, even though you only have 2 liberties, black is unable to play or capture you because black cannot play on either side. So yeah, that means these 2 stones here are captured. Black has to go here, you can capture here. So there's actually no danger in the shape there. And so that means even if black takes next and we fix, a stone around L5 is a little more active than just simply playing at K2. But this is a good shape to know. This is a very good shape to know. And once you hear golden chicken, you'll probably never forget it either. So yeah, tarring here. This did mean, while the cut technically still works somewhat, not as great now, because white has added a liberty at K2. It means moves around like K5, which threaten to peep or threaten to cut, are also dangerous. So yeah, black goes this way though, allowing white to make good shape. And this is kind of what I was talking about earlier, where, okay, black invaded the left side, made like 6 points, maybe a little bit more than that, but white was able to take the whole bottom anyways. And now black has another problem of now black has a weak group in the center. And while black was able to make upwards or close to 10 points on the left side, there's no way black's going to be able to make that in the center. And so this is, again, a case where black is trying to play, always trying to reduce white. Black's trying to get rid of white's points here. So I will say for black, like, don't be so worried about white building, especially this left side is so wide. Even if white gets another move, right? Let's just say something like this, right? Even if white gets another move, you can always reduce it. You can always reduce it. So, yeah. Yeah, if white plays something like this, okay, the corner's still open at whenever, and we can always shoulder hit. So, it's not like white gets the entire side in just one move. So, always try to focus on yourself. Self-love. Play here. Yeah, black goes there. And so now white's bleeding onto the right side. And again, in exchange, black got a group in the center that's still not alive and not going to be making a lot of points. So even in this case, it's probably better for black to simply just play some move in the corner. Just to try to, or again, even still, just try to build the top side. So white's able to now extend. And now black plays here, yes. White extends. Cut. Play there, sure. White extends, yes. And then black goes here, which again, this move is not horrible, but in general, you don't want to play this move. The reason why you play it once, like if white has a move here, is because we don't want to touch this stone. If there's a reason why we don't want to touch this stone, maybe because if they have an extension like this, we can play in the middle of it, and this stone at Q17 or Q18 is helping us connect under. Whereas if we were to kick, now I've helped white's shape. Maybe that's why we would play down. But just by itself, if there's no white stone there, you definitely want to play something a little more efficient. Maybe something like P17. P17 is considered like the biggest you can make the corner without leaving any Aji for Ko's or anything. Even one line further, there is not as much potential, but there is still some potential for attachments or 3-3. So yeah, it's just asking for a little bit too little, and especially since white has this stone at J17, I'd be looking to attack this center black group. Playing at K11 is such a painful move, so I'd be looking to play in this way. Because if black has to play these pretty much dame points, right, to try to live, like black's not gaining any points with this, whereas white's gaining on almost both sides. So white just extends though. Black goes under. Yeah, it's big. White saves. White goes here. Yeah, it's just a little slack. There's no danger in the cut, or yeah, there should be no danger in the cut. You should have a ladder breaker here. Oh, maybe there is danger. Okay. Then in that case, probably want to play directly here then. Is better shape then. Playing the diagonal. Well, this is one of my biggest pet peeves. And I don't mean that in like a bad way. It's just that I see it a lot. And so if players stopped playing it, it would help their go a lot. Is you don't want to play the diagonal when you have this. When you have a one-space jump that is made up of both sides, the diagonal is not a very strong move to play, simply because your shape is much worse than black's. Now, again, in some scenarios, yes, you have to play this move, but in this case, it's generally better just to try to find a different move, whether that be the bump, whether that be attachment, or whether in this case, probably playing here. Because as we can see, if white can't hane here, and black and white had to play here anyways, yeah, white's shape here, this kind of diagonal into like iron pillar is a pretty, should feel clunky. It should start to feel clunky to you. Black goes here and jumps. Again, white should be looking to attack this shape. White peeps and then goes there. Sure, black clamps. Little late for that. There is actually, because you're alive on both sides, there is actually Aji of connecting both ways of playing here. It's a very nice, this is a fun move where you can threaten to connect at A15 or A11. But once you clamp, while again, in a lot of cases this is a nice move, it actually just doesn't amount to much here. In fact, when you extend here, yeah, you actually gave white sente. So, yeah. White goes there again. Oh, you almost hit the move, white. Yeah, black's able to make the good shape, then just jump back. Again, you want to treat attachments and shoulder hits as sente. Now, while white probably treating this stone lightly, you definitely can just answer once. No reason not to just answer at least once. But white just jumps back. Black prevents that move, sure. And then white hanes. Black connects. And yeah, besides the really early fight here that happened, and maybe a little scuffle that happened in the center, this game was very peaceful. This game was very peaceful. And part of it was how both sides were playing. They're both playing in a way to take care of their groups. But as you can see, when you look at the end of the game, yeah, this was strange as well. You can just connect there. But as we look at the end of the game here, like black center here, as I was saying, like when black played in the center, black made, what, 5-6 points? Black even gets squeezed down even more than that by the end of the game. So, yeah, black made 5-6 points here on the left side, a little bit more than that. So, yeah, if you look at when black first invaded at, where did black invade at? I think C8 was where black invaded. How many points black built from that point? Because black already had this lower right, and black already had this upper left when black played at C8. Black made a few points in the corner here, and then a few points here, and that was basically it. So black, again, this is where like you need to focus on building your territory, not just taking away the territory. Yeah. So we actually get this ko here, which again, you probably need to, if you think you're behind, you should probably fight a ko. But then black doesn't even fight the ko. So, yeah, no, if you're going to play this ko, then try to find some ko threats. And you have ko threats, moves like A10 are ko threats. Throwing in is ko threats, right? There are ko threats here, but yeah, otherwise just don't start the ko is what it comes down to. Play there. Stand up. Here, white, you are alive on both sides. So there's no real value in playing this move. Yeah, there's no real value in playing this move. It's probably better just to like descend here to threaten to monkey jump. But then black plays a strange move, but not necessarily bad move. But black plays here. This is a nice idea. It's a similar idea to when I was recommending A13. In this case, though, again, technically, it's what do you define as work, right? This move does work. Black's going to be able to save the stone whichever way black goes. But white had the right idea of playing here. Now, if white descended now, like black could just capture as well and give up the one stone, assuming this is big enough. But also black can play in a way to connect under at a move like T12. And notice by connecting, or by tarring on the first line, we can now connect back. And this is where white gets into problems with this hane and connect. So notice how when you hane and black blocks, first you give black good shape, and now you feel the need to connect. This is one of my favorite, this goes back to one of my favorite proverbs of if A, B, C, just play C. So if A, B, C, white should just play at C. And now black has to, if black still finds the need to protect the upper right, notice white's going to be able to get into it in sente, or block black's connection in sente. If black can't do that, though, black has to connect back here. Instead of pushing at S12, we can now monkey jump, we can now jump here. We have better options. So basically by haneing, we are limiting our options when we play at S11, whereas if we play S11, we can monkey jump, we can one space jump. We can even end up playing S12 if we want to anyways. So yeah, black was able to connect back. One final big point here. After this, white was able to separate, which this is huge at this late in the game. But if black simply had pulled back here, there's no way white can now separate. You can't cut here now. And even playing this move here doesn't help. You still cannot cut. So black playing here was a mistake to let white cut. But yeah, at this stage, yeah, just end game. And again, there are minor things both sides could do better, but overall it was pretty good. It was pretty good, and I believe the final score was white by 20-ish, I believe. So yeah, good job on both sides. Again, black, I wouldn't be so quick to invade your opponent's areas. Try to build your own things. And for white, honestly, kind of like in the first game, like you played very solidly in this game. I'm very impressed. So yeah, just keep chugging along. Just keep chugging along. But yeah, that's it for game number 2. Let's move on to game number 3. Okay, we're back. Here is game number 3. And let's jump right in. We have mejonat, 6K is black, versus JimBobBoy, 6K is white. Oh, opening is standard. This is not, again, not horrible. Not horrible at all. This is totally fine. Yeah, you probably want to still prioritize corners, though, first, whether you extend down here or do something in the upper left. But this is fine. This is totally fine. White takes the corner, and then black approaches. So here, we're going to show what black did first and then see what black could have done differently. Because what happens is black gets kicked. Okay, this makes sense because white already has a stone at c14. Then white pincers, and this pincer is nice because it's also an extension. Then black comes in and tries to disrupt white's base. And then black attaches and allows this formation here. So what was wrong with this for black? So the problem is black basically eliminated all the Aji on the upper side. Yeah, black eliminated all the Aji on the upper side. So what should black have done? So if black wanted to play at N17, black shouldn't wait to when white has K17. Black could just do it right now. If black wanted this move, black should just take it. And again, if we do like what black probably wanted to in the game, something like this, right then, okay, then I'm going to get my move at E17 if black chooses to continue there, of course. And there's other ways both sides can play, but just for simplicity's sake. But notice black waited until white got an extra stone here. So black just cannot play the same kind of move. So black probably just needs to jump out here. And this is probably okay. Getting this 2-space jump here in the center, you're looking to play at D13 if white does something else. This is a very big move to get. It's limiting white's growth to the left side while strengthening our group in the center. And if white takes that spot, it's still very hard for white to now attack this group. And the key is, if we get R17 in the future, we are now threatening to play a move around M17 directly. Whereas once we have made these exchanges here, now R17 will never be Sente because white is now fully alive. So I think this was black trying to be too fancy. Yeah, and it didn't really gain much for black. Extend back. Yeah, even since there's not a lot of points up top anyways, I would even think about jumping here, or even, again, just treat that exchange lightly and just jump out. Because white is so solid, we don't want to play super close to it. Here, and this move comes up later in the game too, or a similar move, you need to kick black's base out from under them. This is such a big move to get, because, again, it kicks black's base out from under them. If they go elsewhere, if we Atari next, black's just going to have a bunch of floating stones. And if black answers, it's going to be Sente. Now, if black, not that black would do this immediately, but J18 is quite big because, once again, it does create a base for black. Black is pretty much alive, but also it creates Aji with the upper side group. Right now, all of a sudden, whether monkey jump just works or even maybe we can play moves like M18. right? If white has to block, there's potential cuts here. And white can get squeezed down very quickly. So, yeah, J18, though, if white gets that move, which is pretty much Sente, it prevents all those problems for black. Or for white. So, white goes here, it's a big spot, but yeah, you can confidently play J18 and kick the base out from under. Getting that move, if you can spot that move, it comes up, especially in Q games, quite often. If you can get that move, it is a pretty good exchange to get. And it's generally Sente too. So black shoulder hits, yeah, this is nice, and jumps. And then white plays there, okay. Black plays inside, okay. White takes the corner. And then black extends and white extends. So this is all very standard. And then black goes here. Which again, I think this is the wrong direction. Because in this case, what side is weak? Is the bottom white group weak or the lower left white group weak? Well, clearly here, the bottom side is still alive. Again, in the first game, if you watch that review, I talked about how a two-space extension is safe, but you're not alive. So black can still attack this lower side. But by attaching to the bottom side, it looks to me, black is saying, okay, I'm getting thickness to attack the lower left, but the lower left is indestructible. So instead, black should look to attach to the strong side. Remember, when you attach to weak stones, you make them stronger. But when you attach to strong stones, well, they're already strong, so it's not like they get any much stronger. So black should attach to this side. If white ignores, then black can get some sort of gain on the lower left. But if white answers, then maybe black can play maybe a knight's move or even this kind of shoulder hit, where if white simply answers, we can build this right side. And even I think black should really consider building the right side instead of attaching to the stone here. Because the main problem with what black is doing, if white bumps here, there's not a great move for black. Notice it is directly threatening to cut, and this kind of shape here looks like the attach and this shape here that everyone has seen in almost every game. This move here, right? It looks very similar to this shape on the bottom. The difference is, though, here there's a cut here that works. But in the game, because white already has the stone at N3, this cut does not work for black. So white could simply just push and cut. And if white can push and cut, again, kind of a theme for this. It's a theme in all games, but especially for these reviews, is analyzing the strength of cutting stones. So white is pretty much alive on the bottom side. And yeah, black's 3 stones are weaker than the cutting stone, believe it or not. So yeah, if you Atari this way, then the 3 stones get very weak and you're not alive here. You can't Atari the other way because then you get sealed in on the bottom. So yeah, even if you give up these stones, right, then white is just indestructible entirely. And again, the problem is if you look at these 4 stones here, you have this thickness, but how can you use this thickness to attack? You can't, because it's facing the super strong lower left. So white could just kind of like what white did in the game, just play on the right side now, because white's pretty much alive on the bottom side no matter what. So yes. So getting this bump here, even if black exchanges like this, or does something like just wedge, and it's just hard for black because of this weakness here. So that's even more so why I think black needs to pull back here. It's not as good of a shape, but because of this N3 stone, it might be necessary. White will probably stand up, and then we will clamp. White should connect, and then we should jump out like this. This is how I would expect this to continue. We kind of, even though white's solid, we are kind of over-concentrating white, which is kind of the idea here. So, yes. But then white attaches, and then plays here. And again, here, black plays a very safe move of R3. Which, yes, there is a cut there you have to protect, but you can protect it in a more efficient way, like S4. This does protect R3 because you have time to now fix. So when you're going here, you can see your stones are right up against each other. It's a little too inefficient there. And white gets to even extend next. But here, we have, notice white has not played at J3. So if anything, I'm playing here. This is a humongous move which threatens to cut at L3. But even if you disregard that, we have white owes a move on the bottom because of J3, and white just created another group on the lower right. So if we do anything, we should play a move that attacks both. So that's why I would play here. And again, if white wants to just connect somehow, okay, later L3 is ginormous, and we can just think about it. And even you might even consider just keep attacking white even. But what black does is push here and allows white to connect here. And then plays R17. So the reason why R17 is, again, this is a kind of the very quintessential example of important moves before big moves. R17 is big. It is a huge move, but it's not important because we have a one weak white group here and another potential weak white group here, and even a potential weak black group on the bottom. So we have these weak groups that kind of need being dealt with. So instead, again, play here. And if white, let's say white connects, then I'm going to play some sort of knights moves. Now, white needs to save both. But when I play on one side, this is where having two weak groups to attack is so valuable. If I play on one side, or when I split, it attacks both sides. So that's why it's so valuable to get this kind of dual attack, or that's why it's such an important. When you have it, it's important to strike while the iron's hot. But turning here, even if you had jumped here next, if white has to continue on the bottom here, then I can at least attack the right side here. Something. But going here just allows white to settle the right side. So yeah, R17. And again, this would be a lot better if you as black hadn't used up the Aji here on the top. So black peeps here. White goes there. Yeah, that's okay, but you definitely want to play this one. Yeah, you definitely want to play this one. That gives you a base, but also it hurts black shape. Black shoulder hits, and white splits, attach, yes, and then jump. So yeah, this is okay. Black peeps, goes down, extends, yes. This is actually all pretty much forcing, but again, there's actually a very important move on the right side here. R11 is so big because white's technically not fully alive. So if you can get this as black, S5 is threatening to kill. So yeah, you might even want to just play S5 directly. Here, the attachment here, this is unnecessary. You have a lot of Aji here, so just treat it. You might want to go here later. You can use this as a co-threat. So it's just, you just want to leave it. Maybe depending on how white plays, like if white plays a move like this and then we fix, well now we wouldn't play here, of course. We could then play some sort of attachment. So that's why you probably want to save it. No reason to make this exchange. Black descends, and white jumps. So again, black never really got the attack here that I think black could have gotten. Especially when white had two weak groups on both sides. Black goes here. Since black got this move as white, you probably just want to give up the stone there. I would just, whether fight locally, play this cut, and if black saves, extend, and then we'll have a fight here, or just Atariing and pushing like this. The stones here have lost value. Extending here, yeah, it's not super big. Jump up, black cuts. It's a little small to cut. Again, we have the whole board to look at, but at this point, the board is filling up, so yeah, white jumps here. This move, if you don't have to play it, is quite small because, one, we're playing into the center. So if we're alive on the right side and if we're alive on the bottom, we don't want to have to play this move if we don't have to. So I would look to just do something else entirely or try to find a way that's more valuable to try to help the groups. Again, I think a move around S6 is more valuable than connecting up in the center. Similarly, I think a move around H2 is also more valuable than connecting up in the center. Black connects here, and I know why black connected here, because black didn't want to see any sort of peeps here, but that's where you just kind of leave it, and you don't worry about that shape. If anything, you want to play a move out in the center this way, so if white pokes at the shape, you already have fixed this cut here. So right idea, but it's still a little bit too one-dimensional. White goes there. Yeah, then white gets J18, so that's big. And then gets the descent. Hane, yeah, the Hane was... Because you can cut here as black, and white cannot connect. So white has to give it up. And then you can see white's shape is pretty bad. So this Hane here was actually... you can see a minus because white was able to now fix the cut. So, yeah, jump out. White goes there. Black jumps out. White goes here, and then black doesn't Hane, and I'm really curious why black does not Hane. Because playing here just really bleeds points. And like black has a chance, but when you just give up just a couple points here and there, if you play just a couple moves that loses 3 or 4 points, that's the Komi potentially. So yeah, there is probably danger in this kind of peep here, but like it really shouldn't amount to much. You have so many outside liberties that it should be okay. White plays here, and then white jumps out, and then black goes here. So this was really nice. Nice order of moves by black. Now I think black could just immediately do it. I don't think, because you have the stone already at N11, I don't think you need the extra stone there, because in this case, now what's the best way to do it? Probably playing here. Yeah, you can see white is pretty far away from any friends, so it's hard for white to save these. So playing here, white actually had a chance to attach here, which would be fixing the weakness, but also playing an attachment is obviously more sente, as opposed to playing a move like just directly going here or like fixing like this. Trying to find an efficient way to fix the problems, that's what's going to improve your Go skills, is if I have this problem, how can I fix it in sente? And so that means if black has to answer, then white still has time to come in. And then here, yeah, black, you just need to confidently just block here. No reason to let white break through your potential points there. And again, it's not like white can do anything. White goes here, you just block. Even going this way creates weaknesses there, so yeah. But you let white poke through here, you just lost points for seemingly no reason. White jumps, and I like what white did in the center here, all these knights moves, but black says, nope, I can cut those. And here, this is where, in this case, this is so difficult for black, because there's so many ways. All white needs to do is live, right? And if that's white's goal, it's very hard to prevent that, actually. Because white has stones here, white has stones here, black's shape is not the strongest. So white probably, and both sides I should say, probably saw this and said, oh, it's a ladder, so I can't do anything there. But maybe you can play here, or maybe you can play here. And this move is the one that works, because this move threatens to capture this stone. So black has to save it somehow, whether, let's say we do it this way. There's many ways black could try to save it, but let's say we do it this way. And now we can simply Atari and break through this way. And now there's no way for black to, once again, there's no way for black to keep us separated. If black Atari's this way, there's a double Atari here black has to worry about. So it's just, yeah, it's just very hard to keep everything under wraps. So again, I would be looking at this. I'd be looking at Atari here. I'd be looking at even doing the kind of ladder and then like netting, right? I'd be looking at all these different things. And so that's why, while I understand black doing it, and this is where actually just playing this move directly would make it a lot harder for white. But yeah, white peeps and then plays here as almost like a kind of pseudo ladder breaker. And then, yeah, black goes here. Again, even if you do nothing, white's unable to capture this stone at C11. Like, white can Atari here, but you can still save, and white can't push here because you can connect. But by making the empty triangle, you've now made it so white captures. So again, I'm curious of black's thought process there. Black captures in the center. One final major point in this game comes right here. So white to save something, because when white Atari's here, black just extends here. Okay, this seems, like, okay, so what? But white could have Atari'd first and then captured here like this. So white could have saved those 2 stones if white had chosen. Or even white could have connected now and created Miai. I can connect here or cut here. So yeah, cut, Atari, block is big, play there. There's technically Aji if black goes here, but yeah, it's very dangerous for white. Let's just say that. But yeah, after play some endgame. One final big point is here. This ko is for the entire white group. So I would be looking to try to fight this ko at least to gain something. Because white can't fight this ko too strongly because, again, this is for the entire white group. Black just connects and let whites connect. And yeah, here, if life and death, if it has to do with life and death and playing that Tiger's Mouth is better, it's better to do this. But notice how you just gave black 2 ko threats. Whereas if you simply just connect, you give your opponent no ko threats. So that's how you can decide how to fix. If the shape is better to make the Tiger's Mouth, go for it. But if life and death doesn't matter, just usually solid connection is better. But yeah, we just kind of do some endgame. And yeah, it's a somewhat close game, but I believe white won by a little bit. So yeah, again, I think both sides played pretty well. I think black early on, black was really experimental in the opening, it felt like. So just trying to keep things, and again, if you're trying to learn, that's totally fine. Be as experimental as you want. But yeah, just really trying to get the timing of your moves correct, because again, black could have had time to invade the upper right, but didn't, and then waited till it was too late. And then also on the lower right was kind of the biggest fight of the game because white had 2 weak groups. So it's the reverse for both sides. So black kind of understanding how you kind of missed your opportunities to attack those weak groups. And for white, instead of creating 2 weak groups, just keeping track of your groups a little bit better and taking care of them would have helped a lot. But yeah, that's it for this review session of round 3 from the 19th season of the NAOL. I hope to see you all in the next video.